Just freaking look at this thing. It looks freaking sick. Oh my goodness. And as you saw, it works. It works as a mouse, a basic mouse. It's a small mouse, 2 buttons, a scroll wheel. Scroll wheel clicks in, so technically it's a 3 button mouse with a scroll wheel. Not a lot unsimilar to something like this. This is a Logitech M325. But yeah, a lot of similarities, right? Like they're sort of a similar size. 2 buttons, scroll wheel. Maybe about the same weight. This one doesn't have the battery in it, and this one does. They both run off of a single AA battery. So a single AA battery goes in there, and that also stores the USB dongle. So when you have the battery cover on, you can't lose the USB dongle, and then an on and off switch on the bottom. Gee, yeah, very familiar. This is, again, single AA battery, basic little on-off switch there. And what's that? The USB dongle. Now, the USB dongle on this one, it's a little, oh, there we go. I was going to say, it's a little bit hard to get out. It's getting a little bit easier, having just put it in and out so many times. But when the USB dongle is in there, there's a little bit on the battery cover that covers that. So the USB dongle can't come out when you got the battery cover on. Perfect little mouse. And I really like it for a few reasons. Obviously, it looks freaking amazing. This very much reminds me of like the Commodore Amiga mouse or the Atari ST mouse. A lot of the early mice just kind of had this wedge shape to it, and usually just 2 buttons, maybe 3, but no scroll wheel. The scroll wheel is definitely a modern amenity. I kind of just used the filament I had. I had this olive green filament, but I thought, you know what? Olive green buttons definitely looks retro. And it got me thinking, it's like, I know I've seen a retro mouse with like green buttons, and I thought, oh, of course. It must be the one of the Acorn, Acorn computers went on to become ARM. It must be one of the Acorn computers, because they always had like green buttons on the keyboard. No, it's not that. It was the very first Microsoft mouse. Look at that. A little bit less of a wedge shape, but green buttons, very strange. So yeah, why do you need a retro mouse? Do you need a retro mouse? Well, probably not. Of course, this is my main mouse here. This is a, I don't know how to pronounce the brand. It's like Daru. It's an A950 Pro. This is an awesome little mouse. It's 55 grams, super lightweight. It's obviously built-in rechargeable battery. So obviously this can do wired, Bluetooth, or the proprietary 2.4 gigahertz dongle. I got this on sale for like $60 Canadian. This is normally like, I think $60 US is the MSRP on it, but if you can get it on sale, this is a really, really good mouse for the price. Yeah, really awesome mouse. And obviously everyday mouse, it's light. It's not huge, but it's just enough to fill the palm for me. The point is, I already have a really good mouse. And obviously this is my daily use mouse, right? Like why would I want this? Well, a couple reasons. One, it could be my backup mouse, my travel mouse. Instead of having this in my backpack with my laptop, I could have this. Again, functionally, this is very similar to this, although this, in a way, might even have one option that this doesn't have, but it's not quite utilized here, so we'll have to talk about that later. The other thing I was thinking is, like, maybe you're into, I don't know, like Amiga emulation, and maybe you just want, like, a retro mouse for when you're, doing your Commodore or your Amiga emulation or whatever. This thing just like puts a smile on my face every time I pick this up and I look at it. it makes me grin, and it actually feels solid AF. Like, despite the fact this thing was 3D printed. Oh yeah, did I mention that this thing was 3D printed? If you couldn't tell, this thing was 3D printed. That's kind of the whole point. Made it myself. Again, we'll get to that, but the fact it's 3D printed, it feels so freaking solid. It's just a solid freaking brick of a little thing. Because of the weight, again, I'm not sure. This has the battery in it. This doesn't. They're probably pretty close when they have the battery in it. But this is way heavier than this. Despite the size difference, this has a rechargeable battery in it. So this does have the battery in it. But again, this thing is like 55 grams. it almost feels like there's helium inside of it. It's so light. The fact that this guy here is so much smaller, but it's heavier, it has this little brick feel to it. It feels really, really solid. Plastic on this is probably more solid than, the plastic that makes up the base on this, or certainly this. It's just extremely thin plastic. And of course, that's because they want it to be as light as possible, right? So 3D printing your own mouse, making your own mouse. How is that even possible? Well, it really all starts with this. This is the Bamboo Lab, or Maker World, which is, I guess, part of Bamboo Lab. Wireless Mouse Component Kit, Kit-002. When you buy a Bamboo Lab printer, it will come with a random kit. Now, my printer came with this kit. This is the kit to make a clock, so it's kit number 11. This has like a quartz clock mechanism in it that takes like a AA battery, and so it doesn't have like this part of it. It's really just this part in the hands, right? And the idea is that you print this part. So some people, if you bought a Bamboo Lab printer, you might have got this. But if not, you can buy this on Amazon. So this was $23.99 Canadian on Amazon. Arrived next day, Prime, and it's basically the internal components of a mouse. Now this is like the default design, but other people have made different designs that will just fit the internals. So in here, again, basically is the motherboard. The motherboard has the switches on it and the sensor on it, and obviously like the wireless antenna. And then you get like the scroll wheel, you get the battery contacts. The battery contacts are already on a wiring harness, so it just plugs into the board. No screws required on this. It all just snaps together. And so I got a dummy one here that I started to print. So this is the base. This didn't finish, so it should have a loop going over where the battery goes in. And these should come up and have like the little notches where the scroll wheel would fit into. So this got up to here and then it stopped because my I don't know, the spool got jammed or something. But I thought I would keep this to show you because this kind of does give you a better look at some of the details compared to on this one. I did it in black. And yeah, like I said, this is really strong. Like, despite being 3D printed, this is really, really strong. I like I said, if I took the plastic base off of this, I'm pretty sure I could bend it a heck of a lot easier than I could bend this. So yeah, it's very solid. You can see it's got like pretty thick walls, and you can see it has the cutout for the motherboard or the circuit board, main board, I guess, to fit into. That's where the USB dongle stores. That's where your lens goes. That's where the power switch is. I initially printed the shell, the top part of the shell, in black. So I had black filament, I had this olive green, and I had the gray. Now the gray I've had for a while, and the olive green. So they've been sitting around for a while, and I don't have one of those like heater boxes or whatever they're called to keep the humidity out. So the black one here, as far as the print quality, it's like incredible. It's super smooth. All the lines are super well defined on the inside. There's no like stringiness. It's just a very, very nice print. This came out really, really well. But I didn't really want the black, right? I wanted the vintage look. I wanted the retro look. So I wanted like gray or beige. And again, so I had the gray lying around. But the gray's been sitting around a little bit longer. So I don't know. The quality of the print, this line where, it makes the line here, the inside of this buttonhole, like they're not as defined. There's something going on here. I can actually feel it. And what that is again, on the inside here, there's like a little structural piece. And on here, you can just barely see it under the right like angle, under the right lighting, but you can't feel it. Whereas on this one, I can feel it. It's actually bumped up quite a bit there where this piece is on the inside. So the gray one didn't print as well, but the fact of the matter is I had to do it in gray. It just really does suit the retro vibe. And the gray with the olive green buttons, I just thought, wow, that's going to look incredible. And it does. Now, the black with the olive green buttons would still look pretty damn cool. But at the end of the day, I thought the gray definitely does look better, even if the print quality didn't come out quite as good. But yeah, like I said, this gives you a good idea of how this looks. And also, how the buttons work, because the buttons are hinged and they got a bit of springiness to them. Okay, so where's the hinge and where's the springiness coming from on something that you 3D printed? Well, this is a spring right here, if you will. This is literally a like 1 layer thick thing that you print, and that's what it looks like, just like almost like a little shim, and it has an angle on it. The angle, that's how it comes off the printer, with a little bit of an angle built into it. And on this piece, it's gonna be really hard to see on the black, but there is like a slot. So up in here, there is a slot in which this will slot into, right? And then on the buttons, on the on this edge of the buttons, there's also the slot that the button will slot over this part. So I just kind of thought it was nice to have this extra one with this to kind of show you how that comes together. So again, let's pop this one open. So the battery cover comes off. All right, single AA battery. And this just pops off like so. So yeah, like I said, I could put the green one on there just to show you the way that the clutching kind of works on this. Is there's like a little notch here and here, and there's like a little kind of a little edge here and here, but this one is on a bit of a spring, if you will, where it's like it's been gapped. And so yeah, the top just kind of notches in with that, and then the bottom has that bit of a spring to it. It just snaps together. Again, it feels really solid. And once it has the stuff inside with the battery especially, and it's got some weight to it, it really does feel solid. That's what this looks like on the inside. So like I said, there's the battery contacts, and they just kind of push in. You can kind of see, again, on the green one, it's easier to see. You can kind of see where it's notched, where the metal battery tabs will basically just push in, and then that's on a harness. So that just plugs into there, right? And this whole circuit board is basically just friction fit into here. I wondered when I first printed it what this was for. There's a bit of a gap here. It's like solid all the way around, but yet there's this gap here. Now obviously once the top is on, the top covers that gap, but I'm like, well, then why is the gap there? I think the gap is there just so you can get the circuit board out if you need to. Because this thing is just, again, it's just friction fit. It's just wedged in here. So you literally just take the circuit board and you wedge it into here, and you wedge your battery contacts in, and you plug your harness in, and boom, you're done. It's super easy to assemble. There's no screws, there's no soldering. It took me all of maybe 5 minutes once I got everything printed to pop the internals in and have a working mouse. So really cool. And again, all said and done, I'll plug this back in here, and that's keyed so you can't plug it in the wrong way. And yeah, I really just kind of, again, front first. Now again, in here you can see where the printed buttons have a little, I guess, key that sticks down, and of course that's going to hit these blue buttons here. Again, the scroll wheel has a click, and that's this switch right below the scroll wheel there. Now there's also a fourth switch in here. That's your adjustable DPI. So this print design doesn't take advantage of the fact that this has adjustable DPI. This one does. It's kind of hard to see in that picture maybe, but there's a separate button there. And that's, of course, for your adjustable DPI. So this does, I think it's 800, 1200, 1600. So just 3 options. Again, honestly, for me, 800 or 1200 is probably all I'm ever going to use. Realistically, I think I'm on 800 right now. And as you can see, even just moving the mouse around on the desktop, it's very smooth. It moves at a decent pace. Honestly, I think even just 800 DPI is fine. So I don't mind the fact this button ends up being hidden. For me personally, I'm just going to leave it on 800 DPI and forget about it. This one doesn't have it, you know, there's no button on here for adjustable DPI. And I would assume this is probably like 800 DPI. It feels pretty similar to this. This is very, again, this is very usable as just give this to your mom and it's just a mouse. This is just your mouse for daily use. Again, not for gaming necessarily, but just for daily use. This is a perfectly acceptable mouse. So, I mean, you could use this if you don't mind the smaller size and the fact it's really simple. It doesn't have any buttons on the side, right? Like on the thumb. So it's a very small, basic mouse, but it's perfectly usable as a mouse. Again, it really kind of does the exact same thing as this. The scroll wheel works great, scrolling in a web page. Obviously, again, it is a third button. Click to do the constant scroll. Yeah, again, as a mouse, it works really well. It looks super cool. Again, every time I look at this, pick it up, it just makes me smile. It's a really cool looking mouse. Would I use it as my daily driver? Absolutely not. Using this for a little while. This feels okay, and I don't mind the little claw grip, especially for like a spare mouse, a laptop mouse, something on the go. I don't mind the claw grip thing, but I go back to this after using this for a while, and it's like, oh yeah, okay. Well, that's why I want something that fills the palm a little more for sure for my desktop setup daily use. But again, maybe you're just into again, Amiga emulation, and you want some like little retro mouse that fills the vibe while you're doing Amiga, while you're playing some old Amiga games, right? And keep in mind, there's different designs for this. I'm not saying you have to do this one. There's other retro designs for this kit, and possibly some of them are bigger. There's one that is supposed to be the Amiga mouse itself, so I assume that one's a bit bigger. You're really not limited. You're only limited to how small you can make it because the circuit board has to fit in there. And I guess the position of the buttons. But really that's all based on, I guess, the top edge. So there's no reason that you couldn't make this bigger. It would just be empty space down here and on the sides. But for the sake of holding the mouse, yeah, I don't think there's really too much limits there. So certainly you could make a bigger version of this if you wanted. So it could be, I don't know, it could be someone's daily driver if they don't mind a really basic mouse. Again, no buttons on the thumb. But I mean, it works. It works fine. Again, kind of does the exact same thing this one does. And again, the kit was $23.99 Canadian. So, keep that in mind. This was, I got this on sale for $17.99. So, this was $23.99, and then maybe, especially because I had this failed one here and testing with the black, there's maybe a couple bucks worth of filament here. Part of the reason is I just saw this and I was like, God damn, that looks real freaking cool, man. It really does. Like I said, I pick this thing up, I look at it, it makes me smile. Do I want to use it as a daily driver? No. Am I going to negate it just to a laptop bag mouse? I don't think so. I think I might play around when I'm doing like Super Nintendo emulation, Mario Paint. Again, maybe get into some Amiga games, some old PC emulation. Anytime I'm doing old PC emulation, maybe I'll use it. When I just want the retro vibes, playing some old retro games. It really does look amazing. It really is a perfectly usable mouse. It's just a mouse. It ain't nothing fancy. No buttons on the side. I can't even access the adjustable DPI. But again, at 800 DPI, it works perfectly fine. It feels perfectly smooth and adequate. It does have the feet on the bottom, and again, the feet came with the kit, so they expect that you're going to need the feet. And yeah, so I mean, perfectly usable mouse. If you like a small mouse that feels solid and you don't want the extra buttons on the side, if you like a simple, basic little mouse, this could be your daily driver. But, just saying, for me, it's not going to be my daily driver, but it's still really cool. So I guess that's it. See you guys later.